Are we almost home? Is there a case somebody would like to bring up? A very short one, but gee, I had several cases, but...
I think we discussed last night when we were doing June Coffee May that we do a whole Ho'oponopono on the land, the situation of the land for Colonel Chun.
This is very good, very laudable. I appreciate your bringing it up. Last night, there's a few of us that went to Kaloko-Honokohau, and because Colonel Chun did not appear, it was no fault of his, so we decided to go ahead anyway, because my main objective was to see that Kaloko-Honokohau Center, it was already approved by the government, it is a national park. And as Colonel Chun told us the other night, the appropriation had been given of $8,000 and it was withdrawn. However, I feel that very strongly that Ho'oponopono between the people in that group and the congressman and whoever it is that they are working with, and I'm definitely sure that this project will come with flying colors. And with your support, we would like to put our efforts into Kaloko-Honokohau. Thank you very much. May I have you come up?
Could we do a blanket Ho'oponopono with each one putting down a name or two with problems they have, and that the blanket energy would take care of it? Like a blanket prayer?
Yes, you could. Mm-hmm.
Before we leave?
Okay. Very interesting thing. I took the people over, and I did the best I could in the absence of Colonel Chun. Went over there and showed them the two huge rocks. On the side is where Kamehameha used to measure his warriors. But the interesting part was someone made a comment. At this time, it looked almost like the two tablets of Moses. Very true. Then it dawned on me, it was interesting also how divided our group was. Everybody wanted to go shopping. The other people went with me. Very few. It was rather interesting, the comment I received. Because these two huge tablets were huge rocks, and he would measure the warriors by the height of the rocks. But as you looked at it, they were like the huge tablets that Moses was holding. And very tall. We put down Kaloko-Honokohau. Kaloko. Kaloko. Loko. Hyphen. Just put a hyphen back of that. In the back of the O. No, dash. Yeah. Honokohau. Now this is the area that they have a harbor there. Honokohau is a harbor. It's just before you get to the Kona airport. And Kaloko is the area where they have the ponds. And so we do preserve that area, would be a living center. And I think once we could get this thing started, it will be the beginning of many other cultures starting out their own. And what a better place to start than here. Okay. Now, we think of the place as we go back to the earlier times, that I just wondered, Robilette, do you know a little bit about Kaloko-Honokohau? Not much. Okay. So, the way I felt of that land was there's so many of the royalties were in that area there, all the way up to the mountain. So the first thing I look at are the divine forces on that land. See, right up on Kaloko, there's some Orient Japanese interests had taken over a place, wanted to sell several hundred acres. So I was asked to go over there, I think, went over there to see what could be done there. And I could feel that it was rich and steeped with royal influences. So a lot of royal land is, divine forces on the land. And the royal, you say royal families and kahunas. There were a lot of kahunas there because I could almost feel that. Very, very powerful. And they resented at times some of the people walking on those areas there without permission, without doing a ho'oponopono. Really affected the people that went on certain areas there. Okay. Now, in the area of Kaloko and Honokohau are many of the very interesting things that are there, that one of these days it will be revealed, but it will not be known to the public. However, we'd like to preserve those sacred areas. So the sacredness of that place, nature spirits, mineral, vegetable, animal kingdoms. And also there are a lot of private people who own those properties. So we're trying to buy some of those.
What about grave sites?
That's true. Grave sites. Now remember, after this regime had gone over, we find that at another period, and they too died and got buried in their own properties. So many things, activities have gone over this. Grave sites. King Kamehameha first. He had a lot to do in that area. Mr. Chang, do you happen to know anything about Kaloko?
Not very much.
Not very much. Do you know a little bit that you can contribute?
Well, I had heard only that Kamehameha first was buried there.
In the local.
You spell Kamehameha?
Just put K-A-M, I think. K-A-M-E-H-A. K-A-M-E-H-A. M-E-H-A. And there are what you call bird sanctuaries there, possibilities. So, and there are ponds, fish ponds. If when they're cleared, they'll be real good for cultivations of,
Canoe tunnels?
well, it's not known. Mr. Chang in the back. Woo-hoo. Do you know anything about it? Kaloko-Honokohau.
Other than the neighbors of mine in Honolulu putting me back down. But that particular land, no.
Would you like to come here and talk about it? The whole board, we had the time and went into it. So the family relatives and ancestors of the people that lived there from the beginning. It's a very large area. I think that is that where the geothermal thing is going on. Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm. would you like to come up here? We can hear you, please.
I met it in Kaloko-Honokohau,
Yeah.
really cheap. So that is, so far as Hawaiian historical tradition is concerned, that is correct, but then other people have other information on what may or may not really occur. The only thing that I know about Kaloko is with respect to the experiences of the late George Helm. For those of you who don't know George Helm was a great, what I guess you would call him a political leader of the Kaloko-Ohana movement. And he got rolling around, would you say 1978 or so?
Something like that.
Around that time, 77, 78. And then he tragically lost his life, or at least this was reported in the papers, he lost his life on one visit, which was considered illegal, to Kaho'olawe, and in returning to Maui on a surfboard with a friend, disappeared during a storm, very bad storm. Well, George came to Honolulu once. I'd seen him perform. He was a very good singer. And he wanted to talk about an experience he had had at Kaloko. So he didn't name the pond at that time. On one of his great speeches, he was invited to Kona. And after he got through at Kona, old Hawaiian lady came up and she said to him, "There, you are going to die a violent death." So he went with another companion who happened to be a close friend of his, a girl. She drove him down to Kaloko. And of course he was still reeling from this attack, from this verbal remark that came out of nowhere that was so negative. So he went down to the front there, looking over Kaloko Pond out to the ocean, and he sat there and was meditating, but just looking out. And he said that his experience there, which is the akaku type, that is, the akaku you envision when your mind is conscious, something that is not really there for anyone else but you. Whereas with the dream, you're asleep. So he saw a huge hand come out from the pond, and it came right through him, this gigantic hand. So these two things then, what the woman told him at the public occasion, and then this akaku disturbed him. So he came to Honolulu to ask me. Of course, I don't know too much about these things. I'm going to give you that as the kinds of things that people like him have experienced there.
Thank you.
Very beautiful. I had heard about something that he had a visit with a woman, and what the woman might have said, but this is the first time I'm really getting a first-hand information about that. Another thing too, that in regard to George, I had heard that he had gone to a lot of these heiaus to pray. Well, I don't know how true that could be, but if this is the case, then his exposure to these entities there might not have been a very positive thing. So, anyway, we wish him well, and I just wanted to, but I'm glad you brought that out. Maybe there's some way that we could also include George Helm in this. Thank you. Helm. All the deceased from the beginning. all the warriors. This is getting heavier. Ooh. King, chief, chiefs. Anybody else could make a suggestion? Yes.
They have a harbor there where they go deep sea fishing, and all the fish that they misuse by fishing for sport, they deep sea fish, and the sharks, there are a lot of sharks in the harbor.
Wouldn't that be the nature spirits?
They had a sign on that harbor, it said, "No swimming, sharks in the harbor."
Possible misuse of the ocean and its inhabitants.
There was a U-shaped direction of rocks. Was that a shrine?
I think a lot of them, there were fish shrines further out and the fish pond. They're all sacred anyway, you know. Oh, that's right. You went with us on that walk. Let's see.
Was the
Yes.
yacht basin included in?
All visitors.
The visitors. The commercial companies, like boats or whatever they are. What is that outside of Kaloko-Honokohau? Can anyone tell me? Is that a geothermal?
OTEC, it's operates on temperature differential
I beg your
between the
pardon.
warm surface of the water and the deeper, cooler ocean water. And it creates electricity by somehow arranging these forces.
It's almost like a violation of the ocean forces. Without the permission of the divine forces, we put that. Violation of the land-ocean forces, divine forces. Anything else?
Under that, would trespassers go? Trespassers in the eyes of the gods at that time?
About thought
Would be
forms.
the same violations.
What about thought forms?
All of the photographs,
Thought forms.
all of the photographs of this area that constitute a part of it, if the negatives were existent.
Someone said thought forms and all of those photographs, because photographs are replicas of whatever you're taking. Are replicas, duplicates, yeah.
Okay.
Photographs. Anything else? Yes.
Do people throw all that trash around any special? A litter blanket?
But those who polluted on all levels,
I beg your pardon?
pollution on all levels.
Pollution on all levels. Very good.
Isn't that violations of the land or pollution?
Well, that's true. But I suppose, yeah.
Could be the air dry.
There's so much of it.
Yeah, it's both land, ocean, and okay. There's also that some of the timber up in the mountains are being, I say, abusively treated.
Okay.
Because in that area, further up, there is a secret passage to come all the way down to the ocean.
The land goes from the ocean all the way to the mountains,
No, but they're tubes.
or with the roads that pass over them? And the
Road
water
passes
flow
over.
on.
Does Kaloko-Mountain have the same connotation as the Kaloko fish pond? In other words,
Yes, Kaloko is the whole area from up the mountain down. It is the whole tract.
By royal families and now.
Yeah, they do. Yes.
What about the documents, especially the negative documents that were
suppose transpired in Washington in reference to, or maybe even
Very good. Negative documents, documentation, negative documentation. What else do you suggest in relation to that?
Deed from abstract.
Hmm?
Land grant, deed from abstract.
The people connected.
politicians and others who spoke negative.
Politicians and congressmen.
Also, the hooky between people involved in fighting for preservation. There's a lot of infighting that went on, and possible, perhaps some misabuse of funds that were appropriated as preliminary grants.
Okay. How would you word that, John?
I would say hooky between Hawaiian factions involved in preservation, either giving negative information to Washington or giving conflicting information, in order to downgrade the other side. And there's a great deal of hooky in the Kaloko fight.
That's true.
And that's one of the reasons why they've been so slow in actually creating it into a national park.
We could go to the negative economy that caused the, taking off the $8 million that was appropriated.
Negative attitudes of the local peoples involved, local factions. Underscore that. The local factions. Or disagreements, disagreements. Disagreements. Anything else you could think about, John?
Possibly say the exaggeration, the exaggerated data given to Washington in order to, by some people, in order to make political gains.
Misinformation.
Richard.
All right.
Misinformation and
Now, we're going to look at this whole thing and say that whatever is needed to do, whatever is right will prevail. Is that understood?
Yeah.
Whatever is right will prevail. Yes. No. Yes?
Colonel Chun's name on there.
That's right, Colonel Chun.
Colonel Chung
Yeah,
mentioned
underneath there, just under that. Colonel Chun and his whole committee, because there's a lot of them. Among them is Yolani Liuhine,
Could you spell his name for me?
C-H-U-N. Isn't that
also
correct?
Patsy Mink, who did much of the work in Washington.
Okay.
He said something about he wanted his daughter to take his position because she.
Okay. Kaliko Chun.
David Roy.
And what is her name again?
Kaliko. K-A-L-I-K-O. Iolani Iluahine, I-O-L-A-N-I, L-U-A-H-I-N-E, David Roy, is it?
And I was going to mention David was there last summer, and that's a lot of positive energy. And there's a hangout in the forest there.
I know. I walked near there. I picked it up about 100 paces away. I felt it and I deviated from that area. Yeah.
The group of us that walked there,
I beg your pardon?
the group of people that walked there when the buses split.
Well, they're covered with the tourists or wherever. Excuse me, when we did go to Kaloko and Honokohau, I did a Ho'oponopono for us before we ever arrived and before we ever parked, before we ever started the walk. So we have not infringed on the privacy of Honokohau. Yes.
Colonel Chun said that he brought people from Washington to see
Yeah,
us.
congressman.
We got them.
And their families probably also.
And senator. And senator.
The President Administration of that county of Hawaii
Congressman.
And President Carter
and of the United States.
President Carter.
And we put down budget too.
Budget committee. Who was the one that
Department of Interior.
Not just politicians.
that's true. But there was one person who made a recommendation which caused
The senator from California.
That's right.
An army buddy.
What is the name?
Alan Francis.
Alan Francis.
What about the oil wells where the money comes from to support the money?
Okay. What is the name of that company? Oil Wells.
He said that was the money that
That will back the thing.
Since that area has attracted people from different lands, all the countries the people came from, that could be umbrellaed under any other countries involved.
Governor Ariyoshi. He's the governor of the state. Patsy Min was part of it, yeah. How about Matsunaga? Did he have, and Danny Noe?
Did you spell the governor's name?
Ariyoshi. Put at the E-T and A-L because whoever's E-T and then A-L, yeah. Whoever's connected with them. Yeah. So we'll P-A-T-S-Y.
P-A.
T-S-Y. Y. Mink. M-I-N-K. Okay.
The government employees.
Employees.
Department of Interior.
Department of Interior. Okay.
Well, that's on the manager.
No. Any other suggestions? Yes.
The department that it would come under, like the Parks Department, or who would be-
National Park.
How about the negative influence of the people who do the crossing?
I think that was, it would come under the,
What about the birds and the animals?
They got that.
Have State
Oui.
Department of Recreation, that's in on it too, as well as the
What about the airport nearby?
airport? Yeah. Pollution, yeah, in the, of the water. Well, all of this, we're going to take that. If there's nothing we put on, we will include them. This is an umbrella coverage. We're going to do it properly. I'm going to do a shorty because time is short. Do the breathing, yes.
You better put down that guy that stole that $8 million and reappropriated it someplace else because he's the worst man on them all.
Very good. Up this way.
On this side, on B?
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Official budget. Those responsible.
Do not reappropriate.
What was it, Mr. Campbell? I didn't quite get you.
Well, they made the appropriation, somebody reappropriated someplace else if he didn't steal it. Good probability that
No, it just said reappropriation. Reappropriation.
or else he used it in one of his own.
How about public apathy?
I beg your pardon?
Public apathy?
Okay.
Disrespect.
Appropriation of the funds allocated to the project. Public apathy. Okay, I think that would be. Let's all do the breathing process. Then do yourself a Ho'oponopono between, ask forgiveness between yourself and the Divine Creator. Then we go into the Ho'oponopono. Any of you who are finished, raise your hands. Okay. Let's all do the breathing together. Inhale on 7 counts, hold 7, exhale 7, inhale, hold 7, and then that makes your first round, make 7 rounds. Okay? Okay. Now let us all join with me mentally. Divine Creator, Father, Mother, Son as one. We who are gathered here wish to do a Ho'oponopono between ourselves and all those on the board relating to the Kaloko-Honokohau project. Those on the Kaloko-Honokohau project and us. Sever, cut all the negative, unwanted memories and blocks. Transmute them, these energies, to pure light. And it is done. And I thank you.
I have a sense in the environment that I work that